a mistake. I think we have to re-examine that concept and just save the bone and do an implant. And so I took that out, placed an implant into the vertebral bone. There you see it healed, and there's the crown on top. Initially, you see the space around the socket, and here it is 2 years later, bones filled in, and I have a healthy implant. Here's another case, molar, take it out, place an implant, make a custom healing abutment. Now, this is something we as periodontists should be doing more of. Put a custom healing abutment on, preserve the tissue shape. Look what happens. And when you take it off, the restorative dentist gets this. Not even a crown, just a healing abutment. And that would give the beautiful contour. And there's the final crown in place. 2 visits for the restorative dentist, great practice building. So when I look at immediate placement of these cases, I looked at this. We published this from our office, Dr. Smith, myself, and Dr. Sonicaro, and we did 300 implants. And what you can see is we had a very high success rate. It's very predictable, with over 300 implants placed in immediate sockets. So whether you do it delayed or not, this is with immediate placement, not even with using wider implants if we have to. Now, when do I do crown? When do I save a tooth versus when do I extract? If a tooth needs crown lengthening, endodontics, and the post, I have to reevaluate it, because if it needs crown lengthening and if there was previous decay, the patient might be prone to decay and the patient might be better off with an implant. So if surgery will leave me less than 10 millimeters, out it comes. High decay rate, I'm geared more to implants than I am saving the tooth. If periosurgery will create an aesthetic problem in the front of the mouth and distort the papilla that's there, if it's there already, leave it alone. And then I'd better off with implant, shallow vestibule, and so on, class 3 furcus. So this is obvious. But when I see a tooth that needs crown lengthening, endo, post, look at all the finances and then all the surgery that has to be done, and you wind up with a questionable outcome, I'm more prone, not that we couldn't save it, the question is, should we save it? And there's a list that, if you take a look, I put this list together, and each one by itself might have a 3 to 5% reason for failure when you look at these cases. In other words, each one, over 10 years, what's the periodontal breakdown rate of a furcated molar? Post failures of a single tooth, fracture of the tooth, what's left of the tooth. So we could save a tooth periodontally, the endodontist can seal the apex off, but then the restorative dentist looks at you and says, what the hell did you save that for? I have nothing to hold on to, or it's so weak, I have to splint it, or it's not even worth it to me. So we have to stop thinking tunnel vision. It's not, if you're an endodontist, you got to think, can I seal off the apex? But what about the restorative dentist? What about the periodontist? We have to put all of our knowledge together to make a decision. And each one of these, if you add them up, see the plus sign? If the patient has it's like a list, it's like an etiological pile. And the pile, if they have more than 2 or 3 of these, you wind up increasing the chance. Each one of them is 3 to 5% reason for failure in the literature. Sometimes more, but at least 3 to 5%. And so over 10 years. So what you see is they have a pile that keeps going bigger. So it's not just 5%. It could be 15, 20, 25% over 10 years if they have more than one of these problems. And that's what we have to put together, called etiological pile. So just because we can save the tooth from a specialty, just because we might be able to keep it going, like I could treat an infant bony defect, but what's left of the tooth? Is it worthwhile? Does it need a crown? Now, if it doesn't need a crown, play periodontist. I do it every day. You do it every day. That's the beauty of what we do. So if we have an intact arch and we don't have to take any teeth out unless we decide to take it out because it's periodontal, then do your regeneration procedures, do your grafting. Sure, absolutely. And you got 2 of the great ones here showing you that and how to keep teeth. We all do that, absolutely. And so this is what we should be doing. But remember, we have to look at the restorative dentist concern. And are you going to send them back if you have a defect that's 10 millimeters deep on a furcation tooth and you want to treat it periodontally and put them through grafting and everything? How predictable is it? And then they need a crown on top of that? That's when things change. That's what I mean by you have to not be tunnel vision. So be careful with that. So we must always think multidisciplinary. Look what all the specialties come into play with and avoid specialty tunnel vision. That's true of periodontists, endodontists, restorative dentists, everybody. And let me show you this. Now, Vanessa has a beautiful smile, except she's got a problem. So should I take a look at this? Take a look at this case. She's got huge, number 9, has a huge abscess on the palate. Now, can we save this tooth? The endodontist looks at it and says, oh, man, I can seal that apex off. Sure, no problem. And the periodontist says, well, I can get rid of that palatal lesion if I seal off the inside.